It just worked. It literally just worked.
Yes. It's just you feed off of positive energy, and we as humans do that. And like people don't realize how much it is. It's like, if you're in a funk all the time and you're talking to your friend who's in a funk all the time, you're not going to get out of that funk. Go talk to your buddy who's smiling and happy all the time and go do something with him and you're going to find yourself having a good time,
Howdy, folks. Today we're going to sit down with Zach from Part Reptiles, Part's Pristine Pythons, as well as Husbandry Pro. And we're going to learn about sales. If you are interested in how to be successful with sales in this industry, this is a video you're going to want to watch. And it's not what you're going to expect, I don't think, but I think if you listen, it will be very helpful for you. So, you're watching Redline Report.
Yeah.
Your wife could be thinking, like, I'm going to bite him.
Oh, man. She probably wants to right now. She is at vending her first expo ever right now. Like, she's been with me to 3 expos ever. And now her and my daughter are at Lone Star Shirts in Texas. And they're vending their own. They have, I got tables here. They got 2 tables there that they're doing. It's the first time I've ever done a split show.
Oh.
And my wife, graciously volunteered. Like, I had been trying to get into that show. The Lone Stars are very elite in Texas. So kind of like referral only. And so I finally got in there, and I had to order 6-foot tablecloths for it because I don't do any 6-foot shows. And I was like so happy. I got my new little 6-foot tablecloths in, and then this came up. The day my new tablecloths came in, and I was like, I had been telling Troy, I was like, dude, you start it. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna support you. And then I was like, it's the same day. And she was just like, she knew I was bummed, and she knew I had been talking about this with Troy. And she was like, you know what? I'll do it. And I was like, what? And she's like, don't expect it. Don't ever ask me, but I'll do it. And I was like, okay. You just say okay. Thank you, baby. But she's got my daughter, so she's gonna sit there. My daughter's gonna sell a bunch of snakes.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty cool to get that story on the vlog. Last weekend or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. She did a good job, I thought.
Well, I'm proud of her. So.
Yeah. For not knowing that she was about to go on camera.
Oh yeah. Oh, she was mad at me afterwards. She's like, I can't believe you did that to me. She was like super embarrassed.
She did great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ended it with a solid high five.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, what's crazy is like she can stand behind the table like me and just sit there and just talk to complete strangers. Someone's walking by, not even looking, and she's like, hey, and engaging and everything. We go to a restaurant and she's like, you're ordering for me, right, Dad? And I'm like, no, you have to order your own food. I was like, you got to work on talking to people. She's all like, but I just get so embarrassed. I'm like, how do you get embarrassed ordering your food? But you can talk to people. She's like, that's different. I'm behind the table. It's like you've got a barrier. It's like you're at work.
I can relate to that because I used to be like very introverted and like wanted to hide from everybody and everything. And then I like started getting out there a bit more through music and then playing the drums. And so I'm out there like performing live, but I've also got this array of like protection around me and sticks. So like, in between
you're
breaks,
secluded, you're safe.
Yeah,
it's
I got
your
my
comfort
space
zone.
back there, and like anybody tries to come up, they have to get through that. And then if they do get through that, I've got the sticks.
See, I never had a problem because I did door-to-door sales. And, so I was always out and about and around customers and stuff like that. But I am just the most introverted person. But that's my thing is like if I don't get some social interaction, like I love doing these expos, it's good for me. Otherwise, like I start getting in a funk, I start getting depressed. It's like I need social interaction.
Okay, then you're not introverted.
But I don't want people to come to my house. I don't want to go see you when I'm at my house. Like I'd want to do it like every couple of months. And then in between that, I will avoid talking to people not talking, but seeing people. And people coming over and interacting and social interactions like the plague. It's like I get like a system overload. I love it. It's fun. I go home. I unwind for a solid day, and it's like, don't even talk to me. And then I'm good. Like my mind's straight. I can focus. I can work good. But it's like I need just like a little bit of social interaction. But like this is not crazy to me. It's not overstimulus because I've done public speaking in front of 80 people teaching sales seminars. So it's job face. It's different. Like I'm weird.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like weird. I was just thinking as you were talking, I was like, he's a little weird. No, but
weird means different. Everybody's weird. God created no 2 people the same.
Well, that's what I meant by that. That's when I was thinking that I was like, this is great because sometimes you get people sit down and talk to camera and it's like, I heard this before. Like you're not being yourself right now.
Yeah.
Which is okay because camera can make somebody kind of nervous and you don't want to say something wrong or you don't want to slip up and you want to present yourself in a way that you think it's going to be acceptable to people. But the thing is, that's not what people are going to relate to. That's not what people
Yeah.
want. Really, they don't want a cookie cutter version of what a person could be. I mean, I don't care what they want. Nobody does actually want that. Well, no, you know what? I lied. Some people do want that. Some people want you to be exactly what they want you to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and I can present in front of people, and I've done that before where, you know, I prepare my speech. I know exactly what I'm going to say. You know, it's all from memory. But when I do stuff like this, you know, like Robert was talking to me, and he's all like, do you know what you're going to say or anything? I was like, I have no clue. He's like, well, what are you going to do? I was like, I'm going to wing it. And he's all like, are you going to be fine? I was like, I'll probably be okay. I was like, I might stumble over my words 3 or 4 times. I might change topics 7 times. I'm like, but it's fine. We'll just go with it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. No, you got good energy. You got good natural, like, it's flowing. It's good. It's awesome.
You know, being around happy people, being around upbeat people, and doing stuff like this keeps me happy, upbeat, and it keeps me in that way. It keeps me in a good headspace. And, you know, being sales, you know, for so long and doing it in so many different fields, it's like you can never sell anything when you need to sell something. You can never sell anything when you have to sell something. If you're in a bad mood, your sales are just going to suffer from it, you know. Fake it until you make it. You know, you start smiling and start making yourself smile. Next thing you know, you catch yourself smiling. And, you know, you got to make the attitude that you want to present, and you'll attract those people around you. And if you put off a good attitude, people with good attitudes tend to gravitate to you.
And then you can feed off that and like have a natural
Yes.
good attitude happening. It's
Yes.
kind of like that thing, like if you try to fake like sit there with each other and you both go like, ha 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 ha.
That's not me. I'm not good at
Ha 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 ha. It just worked. It literally just worked.
Yes. It's just you feed off of positive energy, you know, and we as humans do that. And like people don't realize how much it is. It's like, you know, if you're in a funk all the time and you're talking to your friend who's in a funk all the time, you're not going to get out of that funk. Go talk to your buddy who's smiling and happy all the time, and go do something with him, and you're going to find yourself having a good time. You know, like I'm a big guy. I don't like to go outside and do activities and stuff because I get in my little modes. But I've got like my brothers, you know, that I've known for 20, 30 years, and they're like, what are you doing? Come on, we're going on a mountain hike and stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm fat. I'm going to be tired. And they're like, no, come on, we're doing this. Come on. Kenny comes in. He's like a gym rat. And I'm like, oh, next thing you know, I'm like, all right, I'll go. 5 minutes after it, I'm like, ooh, let's go over here. No, let's go down that trail. Come on, let's go catch that snake. And, you know, you just feed off of that.
And that's what a show's about for you.
Yes, you know, just they're having a good time, positive experience. You know, like I let 4 or 5 people today hold their snake for the first time ever. You know, like people are like, oh, I don't let them hold my snake and stuff. I'm like, I'm not that guy. Come over here, sanitize. I got you. You've never held a snake before. Like I'm the one. I'm going to talk you into it. I'm going to get you to do it. Touch the tip of the tail. I'll hold the head way. I can do better with the bigger ones because you can hold the head real far away.
Yep.
And, you know, and I just love that. Like nothing makes me happier than seeing, you know, that face light up on a child for the first time. And, you know, and that's what I'm here for.
How long have you been doing this?
So this is my 5th breeding season. I've been vending shows going into my 3rd year vending shows. I've done about 80 shows now. I do a lot. I do 25 plus a year. Plus I do them for the Husbandry Pro now. I drive around and do the big shows for them. But before that, I used to vend custom knives for a few years. I grew up in my dad breeding dogs and mules, and so, you know, we'd go to trades day and sell dogs and stuff whenever we had puppies, and I just, you know, doing trade show type events and sales events like this is something I've always enjoyed doing.
Gotcha. Okay, so it was an easy transition. It wasn't even a transition. You're just now you're doing snakes.
I like to talk to people.
Yeah.
And if you get around people who are selling anything, they might not be a salesman, but if they're good at what they do, they have salesman capabilities and they're good talkers. And so you can always get really good conversation.
Totally. I'm not that. I'm definitely not a good salesman. I'm not. But
see, and it's like you're such a good salesman, you don't even know you're a good salesman. Like, you know, I have judged salespeople, hired them, promoted them, had sales managers underneath me, and you are just like you are a perfect salesman.
Me?
Because it's not about trying to sell something. It's just about being yourself, being comfortable with people, getting people to talk to you and open up. Oh, look, hey, this is something we both have an interest. Next thing you know, they bought it from you because they like you. You sold yourself.
Okay.
And 9 out of 10 times, it's not that animal in that display case. They're like, hey, I went to this guy and I looked at that snake over there, but I loved you. You and your daughter were awesome. Your daughter helped me. You walked me over here and did this, and it's yourself that's selling most of these. You know, like, what are you doing different? Well, you know, I don't sit down in my chair. I don't mess around on my phone. I'm standing up. I'm happy to see these people. I look like I'm happy to see these people because I am. And, you know, and they can feel that if you're like, hey, let me know if you need anything. You know, I mean, they're like, no, we're good. I was just looking. You know, you're not going to get some first-time person excited about it if you're not excited about it yourself.
Yeah,
You got to find
absolutely.
passion in the hobby, and if you're not finding passion in it, why are you doing it?
Yeah, amen. Dude, for real. There you go. That's what it is, and that's what you're saying with your daughter. Like she wants you to order food for her at the restaurant because she's not into that. She's not interested, not excited about telling this person what she wants to eat. But with snakes, a different thing. They're getting excited like you are about people coming to have their first snake experience, like I do it at a show. Like that's where I'm at too. I'm like, I want to see these folks like. That's what I get excited about too. Is like the kid that like is holding a snake for the first time. That's
Yeah.
like, or an adult. Even like kids are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love my favorite thing about doing reptile stuff is interacting with kids and like having that happen. But I do have a special place in my heart for the adult who's had a lifetime of aversion to snakes.
It's like the biggest victory, you know. Like I feel like I won a battle or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
for
I
real.
literally had a lady cry at my table. It was one of the most moving things. She sat there for 2 hours, and I talked to her. And you know, there were several people who wanted to talk and stuff, and my daughter talked to them a little bit. But you know, I could have been talking to someone who was going to buy an expensive snake or even buy a snake. This lady didn't buy a snake, but she just broke down, held a snake, and was just crying, obsessed with this snake. I literally was trying to walk her over and get her an enclosure and like give her this snake before it was over, just because I wanted her to have this animal so bad. Because she was like, oh my god. And she did come back and buy a snake for me a couple months later. She wanted to get her stuff done right and do the research, and she came back and bought one. And that was, you know, I'll always remember that.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I think I need to wrap my head around, which I've had trouble with for most of the time that I've done any kind of sales whatsoever. Even when I was selling photography and stuff, my own photography, like
Yeah.
as you're talking about this lady, I'm recalling this moment where I did this custom piece for a guy who was actually from here in this state. He was from Colorado. He was a doctor. He and his wife had come to Hawaii to like kind of take a step back and recuperate after they had just lost their home in the fires that happened, you know, back in
Yeah.
when those big Colorado fires happened. And he saw my art hanging up and he wanted to commission me, asked me for a specific shot that he was looking for at a specific place, like at sunrise, and like had this whole idea of what he wanted. And I was like, wow, that sounds exciting. I went out the night before, like scoped looking for this spot and like slid down the side of this mountain accidentally and landed in front of this place looks like Mars, but I landed in front of this little patch of flowers that's like the only like vegetation on the side of this crater. And like, okay, this looks like this
Majestic.
is a good spot right here in front of these flowers. I'll come back here at sunrise, and I kind of made sure because I would never have found those flowers. I literally fell and slid down the mountain, and like landed in front of these flowers, and then got that shot that next morning with those flowers, Bahama Bay, sunrise, and then gave that guy. He it was his first piece of art that he hung in his new house when they got their new spot, and I wrote the story of it on the back of the thing. But that was sales,
Yeah.
but not.
But it's not. You know, and that's the only salespeople are like, why don't you go get a job in sales? You know, like I've heard that my whole life because like the first person I worked for when I started doing sales knocked on my door, tried to sell me cable. I was working at IHOP waiting tables. I was 19 years old, and I was like, oh man, I can't afford cable. And he was like, oh man, that sucks. Sounds like you need a new job. And I was like, right, I do. And he was all like, that's great. I'm hiring. What are you doing tomorrow? I was like, I'm actually off. And I was employee 001. He started the company that day, and he was knocking his own doors. And I went out with him the next night and watched him make $250 in 2 hours. And all we did was talk to people about cable TV, which I love cable TV. I'm a big guy. What do you think I do in my spare time? I'm not athletic. I sit around and watch cable TV. You know, I'm passionate about it. And I'm like, all he did was talk to these people about cable TV, and we found this nice, sweet, old Vietnamese lady. She invited us in. We drank sake with her, ate food with her, you know, and just took off at like 7 o'clock at night. We're just like, you know what, we're done. You know, he made $250. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna hang out with this person for the evening, and I was hooked. I was like, and so I've tried to do other things. I tried to go work for Dish for a little bit. I'm not gonna mention any company names, but I couldn't do it because like back then it was bad. Like it went out, I hated it, and I was like, I realized I was like, I cannot sell something if I don't use it myself, if I don't like it, if I don't agree with it, if I'm not passionate about it, I can't sell it. You know, it's like, that's why I've never done car sales. Like, you be a car salesman. I was like, no, I can't. I can't do car sales. It's like, I'm not passionate about any of those cars. You know, I was like, that's selling something because you learned how to sell something and you're going through the robotic movements. Like, I've been seminar trained. I know what to say, how to win friends and influence people, you know, and it's just like, that's not me. I like to be natural and flow and just talk about the things that I love and I enjoy and I'm passionate about. And if that gets people to gravitate and want to latch on to what I've got going on, then, you know, I did good. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, I sold something. And so literally I've just gone through life finding things I'm passionate about and then find a way to get other people who are passionate about it, and they end up buying stuff from me because I'm passionate about it and they're passionate about it, and I get other people to be passionate too.
Something my dad told me a long time ago was what we're talking about right now. He's like, it kind of works out because he didn't do that. He had a job, computer programmer, and like worked in a cubicle and stuff for a good amount of time. Eventually worked for the school district, which was cool. But anyway, he said, if you really find something that you really enjoy and you're really passionate about it and you really like doing it, like people will recognize that and it'll be a natural thing, and generally the money will come. Like the work will come. Like if you're truly, it'll be work. You'll have to work hard at it, but you'll enjoy it so much that it won't feel like you're working.
And that's been my last 5 years or so, man, because I did what I had to do for a long time when my daughter was born. We do that when we have kids. Sometimes you got to buckle down and just make the money. And my wife was going to college and trying to get her pharmaceutical degree and everything. And so I put in the extra hours. I worked for a law firm for about a decade. I did efficiency work, people management, process management, legal research. I did a bunch of stuff there, and I was exceedingly good at it. But the problem is I just couldn't stand doing it. It's tedious. It was mind numbing. It was I have an extremely analytical brain. So I'm really well with their efficiencies and doing their reports and stuff like that. But I was not happy. I did not enjoy it. I hated going to work every day. I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't like nothing about it. It was foreclosure and bankruptcy, and I was working for the bank side. It's I'm helping big corpa, stick it to the little guy, and in my eyes is how I looked at it, and I didn't like it. But, my daughter got older, my wife graduated, she started making more money, and she's like, you know what, you did what you needed to do. She's doing what she's passionate about. She loves pharmaceutical stuff. She's now makes a pretty fair amount of money doing it. And so she's like, you know what, it's your turn. You do what you're happy about, whatever it is that makes you happy. And so I worked on that for a couple years, did a couple things, and couldn't find anything that just really gravitated to me. And I was trying to breed corn snakes whenever I met my wife. And I was so just fascinated by this because I caught snakes in the wild. I'm like, people pay for snakes? And then I'd met this guy at a car dealership I was doing some automotive restoration work at. And he's like, oh yeah, man, you should see these corn snakes I've got. And I was all like, I've seen corn snakes. They're not impressive. And he's like, no. And he's all like, man, come over to the house. I'll show you. And he had some albino, striped, some crazy stuff back then. Now you can probably buy them for $50 or something. But I was like, I didn't know they had stuff like this. I had never heard of an expo. I didn't know that you could go to a store. And I was country. I grew up country. And you caught a snake if you wanted one. And so, man, I was hooked right then. I was like, oh, I need some of these. And the dream, I wanted to make a pied-sided blood red, but it was a $3,500 snake back then. I was like, I'll try to make one. And I got rid of them whenever I got with my wife because she was not about it. The colubrids, they move a bunch. She wasn't scared of them. She's just like, no. She's like, it's going to get out. It's going to get in the baby's crib. We had all the discussions, but she was that irrational person, who's just not all pregnant women are irrational, but just some people are irrational. And my wife was going through some irrational phases at that time. And so I had to get rid of my corn snakes before I ever even got to make babies. And I was so passionate and excited about that. And then I went to this expo with my daughter when she was 8, 6 years ago. And my wife was trying to get her to look at frogs and lizards and all kinds of stuff that wasn't snakes. And she's like, oh, okay. And she walked straight up to the snake and she's like, Daddy, can I get him to let me hold it? And I was all like, let me see if I can, baby girl. And so I talked to him and he's like, okay. And she held that snake and she's like, and my wife's like, this is your daughter. You did this. I was like, I didn't do nothing. She asked, and it was downhill from there. And I started doing it with her, and my daughter was always mama's girl. She's still kind of mama's girl, but we bonded a lot over it. And now she's becoming a little bit more of daddy's girl. Now she's becoming a teenager and she's coming into her own, and she's real passionate about doing this. She's super proud. When she tells all of her friends about what she does, all of her friends think she's cool. She's like, oh yeah, take a picture of me holding this 8-foot snake. And, she just loves it. And it's just, I don't know, it's just been really good for the whole family. I'm around to do stuff with the family, which is just so important. We weren't doing that for a long time with working at, 60 hours at a law firm. My wife was doing 45 to 50 hours at the pharmacy she was working at. And it's family life was suffering. And it's, once I slowed down and started focusing on my family and started focusing on happiness, I hate to be cliche and stuff, but the rest of the stuff started falling in around it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Dude, there you go. I'm not sure how we top that. I don't think we do. I don't think we do.
Sorry, I went kind of deep there,
That do not apologize. I don't think we top that. Unless there's something else that you feel like you really want to put out there, but I don't think you're gonna be able to do it. That was pretty damn good.
I got nothing.
Yeah. I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you having me over here, man.
Yeah, dude.
It's good.
Big thank you to Zach for coming on. Go check out the link in the description to follow what he's doing over there with his daughter, with Part Parts Reptiles, Part Parts Pristine Pythons, as well as Husbandry Pro, which is actually going to be a sponsor coming up here. I'm going to start putting all my stuff. Well, actually, as you guys are watching this party already happened. So you're ahead of the game as far as me, because this is past Brian coming to you in the future. It's funny how that works. Gosh, I think I'd figure out how to do this by now. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week right back here on the Redline Report for another awesome interview. Y'all take care.
One of my sisters is like that. She's like ex-Marine. You know, she runs 1 mile to 3 miles every day before work, and she just does triathlons and stuff. And she's like, "Oh, I love it."
That's definitely.
She's like, it sets my mood. She's like, once I run, she's like, I wake up crabby. I'm not a morning person. She's like,
Really, you lean into that thing. So you want to have that thing, like about a. Where are you going? Oh, you're gonna scoot. Okay.
It's cutie. I moved it back a little bit. You know, like I gotta have some extra room here. I'm a big guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I need to pull back a little bit for family time myself.
You got to make it a priority, man. You know, like it's like I was doing 25 shows a year, and it's like I want to do the shows. I want to go out and I want to do it. You know, and it's like, you know, family time had started suffering a little bit, but this time because of a passion. It's like, well, how can I do this? It's like, well, you know, we're in the vacations, and I just set the time. I set my schedules out, and it's like 1 show for June, 1 show for July, 1 show for August. That's when my daughter's on that. I don't do a show for spring break. I don't do any shows over the holidays. I do all the way up to Christmas and like all the way up to Thanksgiving, and I do a couple, you know, in between, but like I always spend the holidays with family, and I just make it a priority, you know, even if it's my favorite show that's coming up, and it's in the summertime, you know, as of this year, I'm just not doing it.